Well, good morning, everyone. Last month, we saw an important update to Windows 11, and that was the introduction of 22H2, which was the first major update to Windows 11. So today, I'm going to talk about those updates, and actually, it came in two forms. The first one was September 18th, 2022, and it was KB 5017328. That was the first major update, and then followed by another update that was in October 18th, which was the KB 5019509. And that's the one that brought about the new change to File Manager. So I'm just going to talk about the first four, and then we'll follow later with the other four.
Do you want to share your screen, Bill?
I will.
Okay.
I'm going to give a live. I'm going to give you a live update. I mean, a live presentation.
That's fine.
So I'll share my screen. And can everyone see my screen?
Your lovely swan.
Yes, that's a beautiful background that Microsoft provides every once in a while. It's a beautiful. So the first one is that if you are, is to access the control panel options in the Settings app. So if you are accustomed to using the control panel, and even if you're using the control panel in Windows 11, you might be surprised to find that when you access device and printers and default programs, you'll be taken to the Settings app in Windows 11. So this is a control panel, and I'm going to change it to large icons. So if I was to go to device and printers, if I want to make any kind of change, typically you would get what used to be the applets in the control panel. But now when you click on that, it's going to take you to Windows settings. So don't be surprised to see that that's going to be happening, because Windows, Microsoft is gradually migrating everything from the control panel to settings. And that would be also true for the default programs. If you were to go to default programs in the control panel, you'll be taken to settings in Windows 11. So just don't be startled to find that to be the case. So what I'm telling everyone is that you should try and to use the new settings menu as much as possible. And if you find yourself unable to figure it out, then go to the control panel if that option is available. But I would try to use the settings first if I want to make any changes to my PC. You know, if you want to change the display or whatever, try using settings rather than using the control panel. The other thing that has happened is that now the search option in Windows 11 has taken a new personality, in that when you click on it, you come to what they're referring to as Search Home, and what you get is I'm sorry, I hit the wrong thing. So when I click on my spyglass here, I'll get something like this particular deal is that it's Happy Diwali. Now, whatever that is, I have no clue, but you'll find that every day there will be a new trending, whatever you might call it, on something for that particular day. And it'll be denoted by having this little icon to the right, and then it'll be something particular about that particular topic. And then you can, of course, go here to learn more, and it'll bring up more information as well as all images. So they're calling this Search Home. Now, the other thing that happens is that if you still want to search, you can still do so by just typing in the search bar here And let's see. So if I wanted to type in Vitamix or whatever, I can still do the search. And you can see now it comes up with the best matches. There's, in this case, this is a website, but I could go to apps, and then there's a document. I mean, there's an app here that's in the Microsoft Store. There's a document that I've started. There's a web search. And then, of course, there's more. And you can delineate email folders and music, whichever you want to search, that's still available. But for the most, but the way it's working now is that when you first click on the search, you're going to get what's referred to as the search home. One of the other things that has occurred is that they have something that's called, you can copy content from the web very easily, called what's called Web Select. So if I was to go to a website that I wanted to copy something for, let's see here. So if I wanted to copy this, I could just right-click on the item, and you'll see something that's called Web Select. I can click on this, and then I just need to take my cursor and just take it, and then I can draw whatever I want to select, and then click on Copy, and then you'll see Copy. And then I could go to, let's just do a Microsoft Word document here. Do a new. And then right click and do a paste. And I have this available. So that's one of the new features of copying things from a website to a document, whether it be an email or a Word document, whatever you wanted it to do. And that's quite different from using some of the other features, I should say the snipping tool. But anyway, those are sort of the things that have are now available in Windows 11. And I'll have 4 more tips for you later. One of the things that I'm really excited about is that in the October 18th update, we got tabs in the file manager. I have to say I'm struggling with that. I'm going to have to do some more practicing to figure out how all that works, but it has really transformed File Manager into a whole different tool. So we'll talk about that, as well as there's a couple other things that are coming, like suggested actions was another one that showed up in the October 18th update. So with that, that's our tips for Windows 11. Back to you, Ron.
It's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. Today I'm going to put on my physician's coat, and we're going to talk about blood pressure. We're going to talk about the importance of blood pressure, how you take your blood pressure, and also the 2 new ways we're using to incorporate blood pressure into smartwatches. Yes, smartwatches can now take your blood pressure. So let's have a look at this. Blood pressure and your watch. Why is this so important? Well, an elevated blood pressure is actually called hypertension. And the thing you should know is that it is common. It is extremely common to have elevated blood pressure, particularly as a senior. The second thing you need to know, this is a silent killer. This is a major contributor to heart and kidney disease. So it is so important that we pay attention to our blood pressure, get treatment for it, and follow it closely. That is why I'm so excited about new technology coming into watches that actually measures your blood pressure. Is this a game changer? Is this going to be better than actually taking it on your wrist or arm? No, not really, but I hope this will bring awareness and enthusiasm to patients so that we can be on top of this very, very common problem. So what is the difference between your pulse and your blood pressure? Well, as you know, your heart beats, let's say 80 beats per minute. Well, we measure one pulse for each beat. So if your heart rate was going at 80 beats per minute, then your pulse would be 80 beats per minute. If you're running or exercising and it goes up to 100, then your pulse is 100. So it's a measurement of how many times your heart beats per minute. Now, any activity tracker, watch, even the cheapest $10 device that you can get will measure your pulse. It is a super easy thing to do and easy to track how many beats per minute your heart is actually beating. Now let's talk about your blood pressure. Your blood pressure is different. As you know, your heart contracts down and then it relaxes. That's called a beat. Let's say your blood pressure is 120/80. Well, 120 is what we call systolic, or that's when your heart contracts down, and that is the maximum pressure in the system. The bottom number is called diastole, and that's when your heart is relaxed. It's the bottom pressure in the system. So we always have a top, which is the top when your heart contracts, and when it relaxes, that's the bottom pressure. So a blood pressure always has two numbers associated with it. As you know, you would need more pressure as we get taller. So think about a snake slithering along on the road. Of course, it doesn't need much pressure to get blood to its brain. But let's take a giraffe who's in the forest and has that very, very long neck. It's going to need a massive heart and a lot of pressure to push that blood all the way up to the brain. So we've adapted over time to sort of figure out exactly how much pressure we need to provide oxygen to our brain. So as you can see, blood pressure is more complicated to measure than a pulse. We have two numbers. We have sort of a pressure number that we have to come up with, and we're going to need some more electronic and gadgetry to try and figure this out. And that's why there are very few watches that actually measure blood pressure. Today in this video, we're going to talk about the different technologies that are coming to allow blood pressure to be measured on a watch. All right, how is blood pressure traditionally taken? Well, you've all had your blood pressure taken, so you know there's a bladder that's placed around your arm. This bladder is then pumped up and relaxed, and we get a blood pressure. This is usually performed by your healthcare provider. In the last 10 years, we have seen automated blood pressure machines come, and these are fairly standard now, and you can get them for around $50 or $60, and they provide excellent blood pressure readings, and you don't have to do anything. You just put the cuff around your arm. Now, we've seen this expand to cuffs on your wrist. In fact, there has been a watch which actually has taken your blood pressure, and it's been available for a number of years, and it actually has a bladder in the wrist strap and actually pumps up and relaxes. So there are many ways that we can take your blood pressure, but they all involve some sort of bladder being around an arterial source being pumped up and relaxed. The other thing you should know is we can take your blood pressure in different arterial sources. For example, we can take a blood pressure of an upper leg. We can take a blood pressure of your lower leg. We can take the blood pressure of your toe, or we can take the blood pressure of your fingertip. Many different ways in which we can do blood pressure. A fun thing you can do is take the blood pressure between your left arm and your right arm. You'll often find a difference. So there is a standard of which we have defined, and all the medical research has all gone to being an observed blood pressure reading in your left arm sitting, with your arm being at the level of your heart. And that's basically the standard by which we take blood pressure. Now, taking blood pressure in a watch is going to, of course, depart from this standard, and let's look how we're going to do that. So how do we get blood pressure from a watch? You normally go into the doctor's office, he puts that thing around your arm. He then puts a stethoscope on your front of your arm and measures your blood pressure. Well, if we have a watch on our wrist and these little flashing lights behind, how does that measure your blood pressure? Well, there are two different technologies that we use. And I'm going to talk about those today and explain them. The first one is called the pulse arrival time or pulse transit time. So it's PAT or PTT. Both these are exactly the same thing. Now, as you know, when your heart contracts down, it creates a wave. It actually can create a pulse, and this is a wave that goes through the arterial system. And the pulse arrival time is the time it takes the pulse wave to travel between two arterial sites. So we can actually measure the time difference and come up with a blood pressure. So how do we do this? Let me explain. So the first thing that happens is when you get your Galaxy 4 watch, you have to calibrate it. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your own blood pressure cuff, put it on your arm, and take your blood pressure. Let's say it's 120/80. You're then going to enter that into your watch, and that's going to calibrate it because we know what your pulse is at that particular time. And this is going to calibrate the amplitude of your pulse, and we're going to use that as a reference point for that specific blood pressure. Now, once it's calibrated, let's say you go out and you're doing some exercise and your blood pressure goes up. Well, that's going to actually change the time in which that wave transits between those 2 points we discussed. And so it's actually not going to measure your blood pressure, it's going to calculate it by the time difference in that wave. So a bunch of calculations occur, and your blood pressure now is displayed on your watch. That's the technology called PTT or PAT. It's a calculation from your original blood pressure that you put into your watch. And that is why your watch needed to be calibrated. And it also needs to be calibrated about once a month to use this technology. Now you're going to say to me, oh, is this hocus pocus? Is this really work? Yes, it does work because Samsung has taken a lot of medical research and presented it to the FDA. The FDA has then had their body of experts look at this and said, yes, on the Samsung Watch, Galaxy Watch 4 and Galaxy Watch 5, this is valid. We actually can get a valid blood pressure on this watch using this technology. Now you have to be very careful because there are a lot of $25 watches out there that will measure your blood pressure using some sort of technology. I have no idea what it is, but I can tell you that the Samsung Galaxy Watch 4 and 5 has been cleared by the FDA to be valid, and we really want to get accurate readings because your blood pressure is very important. So be careful on what watches you use and only get the certified ones. So what are the advantages of PAT or PTT? Well, it's relatively simple and it works well on watches. What are the disadvantages? Well, you have to calibrate it, and that requires input on the consumer. So it all relies on what that initial blood pressure you put in to calibrate your watch, because we're not actually measuring your blood pressure, we're doing a calculation on a change in what you are measuring and putting into the watch. So for example, if you don't have a blood pressure machine and you've gone and borrowed one and you're using the wrong size cuff and you put a bad value in, then all your subsequent blood pressures will not be valid. Suppose you don't have enough money, you spend it all on the watch, and you guess and you say, well, I'm just going to put 120/80 in, but that's not your real blood pressure. Well, then all the subsequent blood pressures your watch is going to give are all in error. So there's technology certainly has some problems, and it all requires an accurate calibration. And each month you need to calibrate your watch and make sure that the correct values are there. Because remember, we're only measuring the change in the data that you're putting in that's taken by a traditional blood pressure measurement. And that is called pulse transit time or pulse arrival time. All right, the second way of taking your blood pressure is called photoplethysmography. Oh boy, that's a mouthful, isn't it? Photoplethysmography. Bet you can't say that backwards. We're going to call that PPG for short. And it's real simple. This is basically a technology that's been around actually since 1930. It's used widely in medical labs around the world, and it actually is where we look at the flow of blood through the arteries, and we use a photosensor to measure your blood pressure based on a number of parameters as its blood is flowing through the artery. And of course, as you know, the skin on the back of your wrist is very, very thin, and a lot of those sensors that we use are the ones that will be detecting the flow of blood in your wrist. And we can calculate this out and figure out what your blood pressure is. And that is called PPG, or photoplethysmography. And this is going to be probably the new way in which we move ahead when we're doing blood pressure with your watch. So in summary, we have two types of technology. We have pulse arrival time or pulse transit time, and we have photoplethysmography. The first group is just measuring the difference from a blood pressure you are entering in. The second type is, of course, measuring your actual blood pressure. We'll see both these types used in future watches as this becomes more common. So it's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. Hopefully that video showed.
Tech for Seniors present the website of the week with Huey Poplock.
Please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Website of the week, number 16. I'm Huey Poplock. Compare quotes on products or services with thepricer.org. Search. Search for a product or service you want to buy, but are uncertain about its cost. They will give you all the articles they have written about that particular product, or about similar ones from the same category. Read. Read a detailed article about the cost of your needed product or service, along with information on how and where you could get it for a cheaper price and why. Shop smart. Use the information you get from the site to buy the products or services you need for the best price. Let's go to the website, thepricer.org. This is thepricer.org. Let's take a look. As we scroll down, you'll see they have our newest articles, and there are several. What's the cost of a trampoline? Let's take a look at this using the immersive reader. If you want to encourage your children to spend their free time actively in the fresh air, a garden trampoline is a fantastic idea. So it tells you a little bit about how much it costs, generally between $250 and $950, with an average price about $450. It's by size. There are different brands and styles, and then additional costs. So why buy a trampoline for your children? Here are some reasons to buy one. How to choose a quality one. So you can get an idea of some of the articles. It's by the newest first. It's in date order. Sometimes it's a restaurant and their prices. Sometimes it's a famous person and how much they're worth. And sometimes it's an article about a particular product or a membership in a particular group. Now let's come back to the top here and we can compare quotes on a product or service. Let's take an example of a walk-in tub and do a search. It gives us several articles. There's 13 articles. Some may or may not have anything to do with it. Some may be close to what we're looking for, but might give us some other ideas what we want to look at. But in this case, we want to look at walk-in bathtub costs. You'll see there's a picture of a tub, and then it talks about for the walk-in tub, expect to pay from $2,500 to $15,000 for one with many features. And then how does it work? They tell you a little bit about it. What could go wrong? First, you should enter into the tub and turn on the water. Be careful and don't get too impatient till you get the right water temperature. And even though it has a fast drain, you'll have to wait until all the water is gone to get out of a walk-in tub. And should the average working Joe get a walk-in tub? If you're a member of the family with mobility problems, a walk-in bathtub, even though it's pretty expensive, will be a nice way to give them just a little more independence, at least when they're taking a bath. Don't buy a walk-in tub out of laziness if you don't have someone with mobility problems in your family, because as you'll notice pretty quickly, it won't be very comfortable. Let's try one more. In a similar category, let's take a look at a hot tub. Hot spring hot tub cost, in-ground hot tub cost. It's what we probably would look at. If you're looking for a hot tub and aren't planning to move anytime soon, an in-ground design is one of the best ways to go. And they talk about it and give you some suggestions, some information about it. Custom jacuzzis cost to expect around $5,000, but could be $15,000. There's prefabricated hot tubs, and what are the benefits of a hot tub? And so it's a good article if you're looking for hot tubs. Another quote of a product or service, let's take a look at a Christmas dinner. Christmas meal for the entire family. This is a recent article, but I don't think some of the prices are as accurate as they could be. It's giving you about per person what it's going to cost, but what I noticed is a bottle of wine can be purchased for $6. I think that's going to be hard to do. So probably the other prices are going to be a bit low as well. But how to spend less on a Christmas dinner, and then should the average working Joe make a memorable Christmas dinner? And so it's a good article to look over. Also looking at the page, thepricer.org, at the top there are several categories where you can look at products and services as well. Let's look at the tech area, and you'll see some things that may or may not be of interest to you. Cost to repair a water-damaged laptop might be one to look at. Most of the time, you should not spend more than $110 to repair a water-damaged laptop, while for the cheapest repairs, you'll have to pay anywhere between $40 and $50. And there's various prices for different brands, and you can look at more, and they'll give you more. It tells you about the Mac, Apple laptop, water damage, Dell laptop, Lenovo, Asus, and HP laptop water damage repair costs. Conclusion: accidentally leaking water onto your laptop can be one of the most daunting experiences. The best solution in this regard, however, is to keep liquids far away from the laptop as possible, and if accidents still happen, you'll have to move quickly and call a laptop repair shop to make sure that your laptop is repairable. Let's look and see if there's anything else here that might be of interest. I like the Segway. Well, how much does a Segway cost? And the Segway Mini Pro, which is like a hoverboard, is $650, but most of the Segways are in the $5,500 or more, but in the $7,000 to $8,000 range. They talk about the Segway details and the different types and what the differences are between the different models, and then what extra costs would be, and then how to use a Segway and important things to consider. And then how can you save money? Well, buy a used Segway might be a way to do so. Some of the other topics at the top include travel, business, education, family, and lifestyle. Let's look at cooking and eating. Her menu prices, looks like for most of these, and there's a total of 25 pages of them. What about weird? What about a fur suit cost for conventions or something like that? They cost between $1,550 and $3,100, and it could be even more than that. Why do they cost so much? Because of a few different aspects. The buyer pays attention to every small detail before purchasing. Here are some reasons why the fur suit costs so much: experience, labor, material, and then some extra costs. And making the fur suit yourself will reduce the cost. And then there's a conclusion for it. That's thepricer.org and comparing quotes on products and services. This has been Website of the Week number 16. I'm Huey Poplock. Thanks for joining.